The tea is scalding today. Hello everybody, I'm Cassidy, I'm the Hippie Catholic. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, please subscribe to be a part of the conversation. It is raining outside. I love it. No, seriously, I do love the rain. Like, I sound like I'm being sarcastic, but like, in all honesty, rain is like my thing. I got this adorable candle that's called like Forks Washington. I'm a major twihard and I love rain, and it's supposed to smell like the northwestern forest, rain, and vampires, so that's all things that we need. That was literally unnecessary, but I felt like I wanted to put it in anyway, so where'd the teacup go? It's a mystery. We don't know. Spooky editing power. I guess this is just kind of like a quick, kind of spontaneous commentary video. I'm sorry guys, I forgot that I got a mic. Honestly, both of these channels that I'm going to be commenting on both have inspired me to create my platform, so in many ways the Hippie Catholic would not be here without both of these Christian women channels. I guess I just want to say that up front just because I feel like that it's important. For those of you who are new to my channel, a couple months ago I did a review of GirlDefined's latest book, Sex, Purity, and the Longings of a Girl's Heart. If you want to see the review for that, I'll put it in the card above. And I was actually part of their book launch team. Some of my jobs were to help promote the book. I was in like a group and I met like a lot of awesome Christian girls. Libby, Sheila, love you guys. So it was a really great experience for me, and it gave me an opportunity to get some experience writing reviews, and I found that I really enjoyed writing them, so I'm very grateful to the girls for that. And oh my goodness, God is great. Brenda has been there for me from the beginning, literally from the beginning of the Hippie Catholic. I sent her my OG video, literally the OG video that I don't rewatch because I'm kind of ashamed of it. I think like everybody's ashamed of their first video. She's been here from like the ground up, and like I've messaged her many times, and I honestly consider her one of my internet friends slash like a mentor in all things Christian and YouTube related. Brenda's helped me cope with some of the struggles of being a small YouTuber, which I'm actually working on a video essay about that because I feel like it's important and it's not being talked about. But that's a whole other rant for another day. I feel like that I have a really strong personal connection with God is Great. She's just an amazing person. I can't talk up Brenda more than I do. And honestly, I never talked to Kristen from GirlDefined, but I did talk to Bethany, and Bethany was always fine. I never had a problem with Bethany, personally. This isn't so much of a let's bash Bethany thing, because I just feel weird, you know, because I've talked to both of these women, so I just feel weird doing that. We don't know where the teacup went. GirlDefined and God is Great come from an evangelical background, though Brenda from God is Great was baptized Catholic, so that's pretty neat. This isn't really so much a response to God is Gray's video where she's spilling tea, but I recommend you watching that one before you watch mine. I'll also put that in the card above and in the description below. Though I will be using clips from her video in my video, so.
The first thing I screamed when I saw this conference video was, GirlDefined totally just stabbed me in the back.
I wanted to make this video because I feel like that this discourse is a great segue into a much larger and more complicated issue within Christianity that has been around for centuries. How do we read the Bible, or better yet, how should we? And this question has a long, bloody history, and a long history of heresy and controversy going all the way back to Martin Luther. I'm coming kind of from a different perspective with this because I'm not Protestant, I'm Catholic, hence my channel name. Ultimately, one of the main differences between Protestantism and Catholicism is the way that we view reading the Bible. And I feel like that, especially in America, we know a lot about how Protestantism reads the Bible, but we don't really know so much about how Catholicism reads it. And I always feel like that when I've told people about how Catholics read the Bible, people always are surprised. Martin Luther supported two main ideas that are considered heretical by the Catholic Church: sola fide and sola scriptura. Sola fide is faith alone, And sola scriptura is the Bible is the only source of ethical and religious authority. But I honestly feel like that we see adverse effects from the Protestant Reformation when it comes to reading the Bible in situations like this. Something about evangelical churches especially, they promote this idea that you alone can read the Bible for yourself and you should just understand it. You're setting up people to have questions, but yet I've found that a lot of evangelical circles will also condemn people for having these questions. There's this literalistic reading that you find in a lot of evangelical churches in America that it's just very harmful. And when you talk to a lot of people who are atheist, of course not all atheists, but a lot of times you hear that they stop believing in God because they were reading the Bible for themselves and they found a passage or they found a book that they found disturbing and they were reading it through a modern lens. The problem isn't that people have access to the Bible now. The problem is that people don't know how to read the Bible. And I know obviously that's a very subjective question. This controversy has gone on for hundreds of years. Honestly, I feel like that the discourse between God is Gray and GirlDefined is just kind of illustrating how it's continued on into the era of the internet. The effects of the Protestant Reformation in this way still continue on. I'm Catholic, so I disagree with sola scriptura and sola fide. We're not really going to be focusing on sola fide that much in this video. We're going to be focusing more on sola scriptura because honestly, I feel like that a lot of the problems that people who are evangelicals, who are now ex-evangelical, a lot of these people were raised to read the Bible in a very literalistic way, and they were expected at young ages to just be handed the Bible and be like, read it for yourself and just understand it. And then when you had questions about, why God had the plagues come down on Egypt, then if you had questions about those things, you weren't a good Christian. And I feel like that's something that's very troubling. We still see the effects of the Protestant Reformation and the problems of sola scriptura today, even in the wide world of YouTube, between channels GirlDefined and God is Gray. I side with God is Gray in this debate, and here's why. As a Catholic, I do not endorse a literalistic view of the Bible. I know probably some of you who aren't Catholic are probably ready for a thumb war, but I promise you this makes sense. The Catholic Church takes its teachings and credibility from the Bible, from the early church and the theologians of the magisterium who are still in practice today. The theologians, they debate modern and theological issues and how the church should best view them, because the church ultimately wants to teach, and that's what magisterium literally means. And it has a big background in philosophy. Crash course. This differs from the evangelical stance that GirlDefined takes when it comes to the Bible, which places the Bible itself as the only and final authority on everything. And if you don't think this, well,
why even call yourself a Christian?
Ultimately, how we read the Bible is influenced heavily by which faith we align with. However you're raised or whatever your experiences are, it's going to affect the way you read that text. But I feel like that this just gets emphasized in Christianity because we have all these different denominations. Each one claims they know how to read the Bible right. But I wanted to make this video because I wanted to support Brenda in saying, yes, you can be a Christian and not read the Bible literalistically. And that the oldest Christian church, the Catholic Church, can back up this claim. For example, when the early church was founded, the earliest Christians did not have the luxury of having the Bible available to them. God is Great made a really good video on her channel where she interviews Peter Enns, a biblical scholar who I kind of fangirl over. Even if you take the Bible as your authority, who assembled the Bible? Theologians of the Catholic Church. Theologians of the Catholic Church went through hundreds, if not thousands, of potential books and chose which ones would be considered biblical canon. Later on in the Protestant Bible, the one GirlDefined and many other American Christians use, Martin Luther chose which books should be considered canon by removing books, not adding them. Even if your final authority is the Bible, you're really in line with Catholic authority because that was the institution that initially assembled the Bible. The Bible wasn't dropped from the sky. It has a very traceable history. I'm going to include a clip from a Catholic YouTuber I absolutely adore called Breaking in the Habit, Father Casey. He made a really good point about how you don't have to read the Bible literalistically for it to be true.
Many in the Christian world forego a strictly literal reading for a method that includes science, history, and literature. A.J. Jacobs, recognizing the abundance of seemingly strange laws in the Bible, decided to live an entire year following everything it said as literally as possible. He had no bacon cheeseburgers, did absolutely no work for an entire day each week, and even threw little pebbles at adulterers to stone them. What he found was that no one, not even the most zealous Jews or Christians, read the entire Bible literally. The oldest and newest parts of the Bible are close to 1,000 years apart, are written in different languages, represent various genres, and have varying levels of importance for our faith today. Each text needs to be read and interpreted in a different way, because really, each text was meant to be read in a different way.
And this was kind of a short commentary video, but I felt like that I should make it because ultimately, I've had conversations with both of these channels, specifically with both of the women involved, Brenda and Bethany. I've talked to both of them. So I feel like that I kind of come from an interesting perspective, at least interesting for me. I don't know if it's interesting for you. I also feel like that it's a good opportunity to explore how the Protestant Reformation and how this split between the Catholic and Protestant movement still affects Christianity today and still affects how we perceive God and how we perceive reality. Ultimately, as a Catholic, I don't feel that the Bible is capable of answering every single modern question. And we're very privileged in the fact that we can even have access to reading the Bibles. We are very privileged to be literate. And we still experience this theological division today on the internet, which is honestly like the biggest manifesto of humanity, and it's almost like a gigantic human brain in and of itself. Some parting thoughts I have for you guys are that we really need to be careful when we point fingers and say, so-and-so's not a Christian because this, so-and-so's not a Christian because that. And here's the thing, I've actually fallen into this pit before. It's not productive, and it's just disrespectful, and it doesn't encourage dialogue. For those of you who've been watching my content for a bit, like a couple weeks ago, I released a video about another Catholic YouTuber and her husband. It was mainly at her husband. And this would be a prime opportunity for someone like me to go and say, oh, you're not a Christian because you're not speaking in a very loving way, and I have all these disagreements with you. It must mean that you're not Catholic. I had to step back and realize, you know what, it's such a stupid, I don't know, cycle. Honestly, everybody is just pointing fingers. It's not gonna get anything productive done. If anybody identifies as a Christian, they're Christian. Catholic, that's a little bit different because there's like some sacraments involved. If you're baptized Catholic and you're confirmed Catholic, you're just as Catholic as the Pope. We've had this mess passed down to us from hundreds of years worth of controversy over how to read the Bible. It's like it runs down a family tree in a way, of our Christian family tree, but somebody ultimately has to chop that tree down. And I feel like that now, since we have the internet and we have so many opportunities now to be able to engage in dialogue, now is the perfect time. I'm not God, you're not God. None of us can look into each other's hearts and say, you're not a Christian, you're a Christian, you're a wolf in sheep's clothing, whatever. We don't have that authority to do that. So we really need to stop. We can disagree with each other, but I don't feel like that we have the right to sit there and say, because I disagree with you on certain issues, you're not a Christian. Because having a Christian worldview is completely different from having any other kind of worldview, to be honest. I mean, I know this. I was atheist for a good year, and agnostic for a while as well. And I mean, there's a stark difference between the way atheists view the world and agnostics view the world than from how Christians view the world. It's counterintuitive and it's counterproductive to be pointing fingers at fellow Christians and saying, you're not a Christian. What makes you a Christian is that you believe that Jesus Christ is the Son of God, the Word incarnate, who died for our sins and rose from the dead, and so that we could have eternal life. That, if you believe that, and that crazy story of the Bible, you believe that miraculous narrative, you are a Christian. That doesn't make you Catholic automatically, but it makes you Christian. I'll make a future video diving deeper into the heresies of Sola Scriptura and Sola Fide and how I find both of them to be pretty harmful. And I gotta make a video about heresy too. Breaking in the Habit did an awesome one. I'll link that below. But I just thought that this would be a good start to the conversation and a good introduction to these bigger theological topics that I've wanted to tackle on my channel. And I just want to say, GirlDefined, if you're watching this, I urge you to reach out to Brenda to talk, because I did not find what you guys did at the conference to be very moral. It was rather dishonest. You guys acted like that you were going to talk to Brenda and then kind of threw her under the bus at the conference publicly. But I also want to say that everybody messes up, and sometimes, even as Christians, especially as Christians, we need to be brave enough to say that we are sorry. And you don't have to agree with God is gray. You don't. It's not my place to tell you how to think. But acting like you're going to talk to her and then throwing her under the bus in public doesn't show academic or theological integrity. God is Gray talked to Julie Slattery, a psychologist you cited in your book. Julie Slattery and Brenda have completely different views on sexuality and sexual ethics, but yet they had a fantastic conversation that really expanded my mind. Listen to God is Gray's podcast, it's great. If we come together and we share our perspectives, I think we can all better know Christ and walk out our faith better. So, GirlDefined, please reach out to Brenda, heal this divide that has been formed between you guys, and I would love to see you guys collab. Thank you so much, guys, for watching. I also recently was approved to have a Patreon account. Thank you so much, Em and Julia, for becoming my amazing patrons and for making this content possible. As a small creator, I am currently not monetized. Any donation on Patreon is greatly appreciated if you are financially able to do so. You guys are all amazing people, and I am grateful for each and every one of you. Thank you so much for supporting my adventures and for supporting my creative work, so thank you. Thank you so much, guys, for watching. I am Cassidy. I am the Hippie Catholic. God bless.